Hello. Welcome. Thanks for joining me on this live stream, the Bold Q&A. I'm going to cover business and marketing Q&A, dive into updates on growing bold, give you some sales and marketing tips, get into the weeds a bit, and I'm going to do a full Q&A at the end. Probably try to leave a good 15 minutes of Q&A at the end for those of you that joined. So thank you so much for tuning in. For anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Cristiano, the CEO of Bold Worldwide. We are an ad agency based in New York. We just opened up a location down in Miami as well. We're growing quickly. We're expanding. We're a small agency, but we have really big dreams and big goals. We are completely going on a different business model than the traditional agencies. We have a lot of very interesting things we're doing, from content to digital to social to data and even business consulting, right? And so what we're trying to do is actually impact and get results for our clients and for the brands that we work with. And so I am, if you haven't seen it, we are documenting the entire growth of the agency called Growing Bold. You can find it on my Facebook page here. You can find it on YouTube. And we're literally giving you a complete, pulling up the curtain and giving you a complete insider look as to how we're growing the company, what we're doing, the challenges that we're facing, that I'm facing. And so we're 4 episodes in, and we launched episode 4 this Tuesday. So it's a couple days later, and it's been a trip. It's been exciting. It's been awesome. I'm curious, before I jump into this, how many of you have watched Growing Bold? Just yes or no in the comments. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, just yes or no. Let me know so I know kind of where I'm starting from before I start talking about it. And I'm just going to see here. We're trying some new setup, by the way. So I'm trying to see if it's better for me to view the comments on my phone, or if it's better to Andrea. Yeah, it is way better to see these on my phone. So Andrea, yes. Terry, yes. Stephen Fott is in the house. What's up, my man? Lionel, yes. Michael Perez, yes. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. I really do. Tracy Schwartz, yes. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I genuinely appreciate your time. What do you before I keep going, what do you think of those of you who are watching Growing Bold, who've seen the show? What do you think so far? Do you like it? Is there something that you'd want to see more of, less of? And for those that haven't seen it, I'll start filling you in a second here. But hit me up with what you think about the show, good, bad, or ugly. I want the real input. You like it? You hate it? Let me know, because that's the only way we can make this thing better, right? So it all comes down to making sure that obviously we're telling our story. We're doing what, we're eating our own medicine. I think that's one of the biggest things that differentiates us from most agencies. Agencies aren't buying TV ads for themselves. They're not marketing themselves on TV. They're not marketing themselves on radio ads. They're not marketing themselves in newspapers, but then they're selling it to you, their clients, at these stupid, steep prices that they know doesn't work for them or their clients. They're not doing what they talk about, man. We are actually living and breathing what it is that we do for our clients, and that's one of the biggest differences, right? We're doing our own content. This is it, right? Polished, beautiful. I'll show you. Check this out, right? By the way, we're live streaming this on a Sony FS5. For any of you tech geeks, but I'll switch it up real quick. I'll show you. I'll just show you. Look. This is the difference when you do just like a regular live stream. It's a real nice camera, but this is like a regular live stream, right? But we're doing what we're telling our clients to do, which is quality. We're doing quality here. And so this is the difference. This is how you can make it look. And that's it. Like, we're not only invested in our client success, but we're living and breathing what it is that we sell and what it is that we do. We do Facebook ads for ourselves, and it works. We do our own content live. We do our own podcasting live. We do partnerships and integrations with other brands and other companies and other influencers for ourselves. So everything that we're doing for our clients, we're doing for ourselves. And so you can learn that just whether you're an entrepreneur or you're CMO at a Fortune 100 company, learn that from us. There's not many agencies that are also doing what they say or what they sell. They really just aren't, right? Because the old school mentality, the old stuff, TV ads, radio ads, they don't work. They don't at all. Like, not that no one's watching TV, but nobody's seeing your TV commercials. So let me back it up real quick. Let me look at some of your comments here. I appreciate it. Haven't caught the show, Becky. Awesome. Very, very cool. Thanks for checking in. You'll have to check it out after this. Like the Outdoor Retailer episode, Philosophy in Action. Michael Perez, I like it. More details of doing different things than other digital agencies. Yeah. Look, I mean, I think I'm just pulling up my notes here because I want to make sure I can talk a lot. I want to make sure I stay on task here. You know, like here's the insights, right? We're 4 episodes in. We're 3.5 weeks into actually launching our own content, Growing Bold, where we're really just telling a real story. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're telling our clients to do. Tell a real story. Who are the people that work there? Why? Who are your customers? Why? What are their emotional needs? Not just, what do you do for them? Like, why do you do it this way? What's your methodology? What's the emotion that you bring and you sell to the marketplace? Like, that's the stuff that actually resonates. And so that's what we're trying to do with Growing Bold. And so the challenge behind that is obviously like it's being as transparent as we can as we're growing, closing deals, you know, with clients, with prospects. I want to show as much as we can, but there's obviously a limit to what we can and can't show. But we're trying to creatively get around that and give you as much insight as possible into the way that we think, the way that we do business, the way that we work, everything that's happening. So we're only 4 episodes in. We'll obviously continue to do more. But here's the early numbers. And now we put paid advertising behind this, right? Money on Facebook, little on YouTube, but we have over 1.1 million views across Facebook and YouTube in 4 episodes. And the craziest part is those views, though it's over 1 million already, the retention is substantially high through the end of all of these episodes, which is really cool. And we've reached over 2 million people on Facebook, but I don't really care about the reach necessarily. I mean, over 1 million people are watching, and the engagements on Facebook is over 17,000. So likes, shares, comments. And on episode 3, I believe it was, we had almost, maybe we even broke it, over 3,000 shares just on a video. I mean, that's the power of telling a real story and giving people a peek behind the scenes. I mean, the reality at the end of the day, you know, you'd be thinking like, oh, well, it's a cool business. No, it's not. It's advertising. It's a service-based business. Nothing that we do is really that cool. Like, the only thing more boring than what we do might be like banking and a legal firm. But even that, it doesn't matter, right? Outside of that, like every client that we have is way more exciting than an ad agency. But it just goes to show you that you can tell a true, real story as a brand, whether you're big, Fortune 100, or you're a solo entrepreneur. It's just about the real story. What's your perspective? Being honest, being open, being okay with taking haters, because we're getting some of those too. But I love the haters, man. I thank you guys, right? It's very exciting. But so those are the early results from what we're getting so far. I mean, I'm just astonished and humbled that so many of you are watching and tuning in and commenting, and all the amount of direct messages on Facebook, on Instagram. It's been incredible. So it's a different time. We couldn't have done this 5 years ago. Definitely not 10 years ago, right? The media companies have owned distribution of content for forever. But now they don't. There's no one holding you back. You don't need a multi-million-dollar deal or multi-millions of dollars in ad budget to get your content to the masses. You can do it on Facebook. You can do it on YouTube. But you have to tell a real story. So I'm going to just quickly, for some of you who may not have seen it, I'm just going to quickly play maybe like 60 seconds or so, maybe 90 seconds of the last episode, episode 4, to just give you a little quick taste here. I'm the flipper. Flip shit. About to fly out, head to Salt Lake City, Utah, and I'm super pumped to go to Outdoor Retailer. I've been there for many years. I'm excited. I can't wait. Outdoor Retailer is the bomb. To have just such a strong team here at OR, with me here at Bold, with Lizzie here taking on more and more responsibilities. She's killing it because she's been here for so long. She really understands the business and what we do and how to get in front of these clients.
The game plan for OR is twofold. One, back in front of clients or current clients. On the flip side, looking for new brands that could be potential partners of Bold.
And then Steve, who just came on board, the dude's a shark. He's a killer when it comes to sales.
These traditional agencies just are not giving them the results that they need. You know, so they're interested because they know what they're doing right now isn't working.
I am so freaking excited to have this strong of a team. So there's just a taste of the episode 4 Growing Bold. So it's, and by the way, I think we fixed an audio issue here. I told my guys to like bombard and just open the door if they heard something wrong or saw something wrong. So I'm like literally on live stream yelling at Gasar for not opening the door the second he realized that 2 mics were hot, because I want this stuff to be real. I would have just fixed it then, but apparently we fixed it. So if we haven't fixed the audio, let me know in the comments, or Gasar, get away from your desk and pop in here. But for real, it's, so there's a little bit of taste of it, right? And I got a couple of comments here. Jake Anthony, this is actually a really interesting point, right? Because talking about haters a little bit, right? Jake Anthony, what do you respond to people that say you're just ripping off Gary Vee's content? This isn't a dig, just a legitimate question. I watch his and I see yours. A lot of it's the same. I mean, dude, what better compliment to get than be compared to a guy who has built one of the most incredible audiences, content, and agencies of this decade? To be just even put in the same sentence as him is an honor, actually. I don't agree at all with ripping off the content. There's obvious similarities. We're both in advertising, right? We're both putting out content. We both believe in digital, social activations, one-to-one. We believe in really connecting with customers, telling a good story. We believe a lot of the same things because it's true. So it's not necessarily that, I'm not ripping anything off. I've been doing this as well for 18 years. I started my first production company in 1997 making skate videos. I started my second production company that was legit where I had employees in 2002. So I've been doing this actually longer than Gary has if we're talking about, marketing and advertising and content, for like being paid to do it for other people. Now, I'm not taking anything away from it. Obviously, the dude's a master at what he does. So again, I'm humbled and honored to be in the same sentence. That's it, right? People are going to assume that you're ripping other people off because they don't know me. They don't know me. You don't know me yet, right? Like, you don't know my backstory other than 4 videos and some other stuff I've had on YouTube for a long time. And while there's obvious similarities, I mean, I think really like we're, in a way we have similar perspectives. We're both probably pretty abrasive, very good looking, both of us, I would think. I'm not that egotistical, maybe a little. But seriously, I think that's a, that's a genuine thing, right? People are coming and they're saying that. But again, if they're watching Gary's stuff and then they're coming over and watching mine and seeing similarities, or they feel like there's something similar, even they're saying I'm ripping off, dude, that's the best problem you could ever have. Embrace it, right? I respond to almost every single person, every single hater, every single comment that comes in, good or bad, because this is the other thing that I understand is, dude, haters are just people that don't know you yet. People are just making assumptions. You don't know me other than a couple of quick minutes of video online. I've been on this planet for 35 years. So there's a lot of things I do that haven't been captured on camera. There's a lot of perspectives that I have that are probably different. I live a different life. There's obvious, like, just general similarities because we're in the same industry. Aside from that, I don't really see anything that's the same, but again, I take it as a compliment, man, to just be mentioned in the same sentence. So I think, and here's a quick tip on that, if you're putting out content, you got to have a perspective, and you got to not be afraid of the haters. It's like 90% like really, really good feedback, and then 10% haters or people comparing me to Gary. That's cool. Like, that's a great ratio, first of all. But second of all, what difference does it make? You don't have to be the first person to do something. I mean, Gary wasn't the first person to vlog. Like, there has been people that have been doing it for way longer. And so it's everybody takes a little bit of something when they see other people doing something that's working well. Like, this is just how communication works today. And I think that he's early. I think that I'm early. I'm going to be not surprised in 4 or 5 years when this is just the way mass media works, where everybody's got their channel and there's going to be, 100 entrepreneurs that are putting a lot of time, energy, and money into their own content, and 1,000 fashion people. Like, people are doing it now, but it's just not at the scale that Gary's doing it. So when I come out of the gate and start jumping right into that kind of a scale, I think that's also a similarity. Hugo, love the positivity. Thanks, man. Do you have any tips on into one-person studios? Yeah, just do it. Just get it out there. Just do it. Follow my man Hank Norman on Twitter. He works with some of the biggest stars and celebrities in the world on personal brands, and he just says his statement is, Hank Norman's statement is, just push record, right? Like, just record it. So just start putting it out there. But I would say, in addition to just putting it out there and getting started, because you got to start somewhere, is that you need to really understand, like, why are you doing it, right? Why are you doing this? Like, what's the motive behind you actually doing the content? And then What's the emotional value that your customers or your audience want to get from you? Not just the information and the tactics and the tips. There's plenty of that online, and it's important. And obviously, I'm going to give some of that too. That's some of what this is. But more importantly, it's the emotional trip, right? If I'm just giving tips and tactics, there's 1,000 people online that you can Google that'll give you the same tips and tactics, maybe some better, probably a lot you won't not necessarily hear because I'm in it every day, you know, running a legit agency. But the reality is as well is, like, if that's all I'm giving, like, it's very surface value. You come in, you take your tip, and you move on. So I'm getting people emotionally invested in my journey, in my trip, being open, doing Facebook Live, showing as much behind the scenes as possible, getting into my past stories and my history, right? Really opening the door. And that's uncomfortable for me, honestly, at first. Because nobody wants to have people comment on their stuff and tell you that, you know, they don't like you, or they compare you to somebody else and tell you ripping them off. Nobody wants that. But the reality is you're going to get that if you're actually putting your voice out there. So if you're just a person of one, just do it. You can do it on your iPhone. You can do it on your MacBook Pro. Just start doing it, start creating, start figuring out what your voice is. What is it that you bring to the world that's different from everyone else's perspectives? And what's the emotional attachment that I get as a viewer that I'm going to tune back in? I might tune in for the tips that you give me. I might tune in because you're a good story, you're interesting, you're a character. I might tune in for the motivation. You got to have layers of all that. It can't be one or the other. And I think a lot of people just go for one part of that because they're afraid to really... People and brands, like big corporations, are afraid to get the emotional side right because they know they're going to get pushback, because you're never going to make everybody happy. Who cares? I'm not trying to make everybody happy. I'm not trying to close every customer. I just want the ones that believe in what we're doing and are going to be a good fit for us. And it's the same for you, regardless of how big you are. So let me thank you guys. It's a lot of stuff streaming in here. You know, I think what I want to do now, I just want to stay on topic here a little bit. What I want to do now is I want to go a little bit into some sales and marketing tips, right? Kind of piggybacking off of episode 4 of Growing Bold, where, you know, it was at Outdoor Retailer. Excuse me. Thirsty. It was at Outdoor Retailer, which for anybody that's not in the outdoor industry, indoor and sports industry, it's huge. 1,200 brands. It's in Utah. Well, it was in Utah for the last year this year. Salt Lake City. 1,200 brands show up. There's small ones and there's huge, you know, multinational ones there as well. And they're a lot of our client base, right? We have a sports background. We work with clients outside of sports now, but it's still a big piece of what we like to do. And so there's a lot of clients we had there. There's a lot of clients that we wanted to have that were there. And so we flew out, team of 3, aside from my producer and my cinematographer. Aside from them, flew out with Lizzie and Steve, my biz dev guys and gals. We flew out there. We spent 3 days at the conference. And here's the thing: a lot of people go to conferences, and I saw so much of this while I was walking around and looking. So many people are just like sitting there in their booth by themselves, or maybe chatting with somebody that works with them in their booth. And a lot of you might be a startup, or you might be a huge company, and you probably do some trade shows, especially if you're, it doesn't matter, B2B, B2C. You probably do some trade shows, or you've thought about it, or you've done it before and it didn't work. But here's the deal. When I'm walking around and I see probably 50, 60% of all of the booths, of 1,200 booths, and I just see person after person just sitting there by themselves, just waiting for somebody to walk up, they've already lost. So you can't go to an event like that. Well, let me take a step back. The reason you go to an event like that is because it has all of your customers in one place. I personally had over 40 meetings in 3 days. My entire team and I, who came back, we had 84 meetings. To take 84 meetings in 3 days, that would take a long time to take 84 meetings if you were, back here in the office here in New York trying to meet all these brands that are all over the country, some all over the world. So it gives you the advantage of you can meet all of your customers, clients, prospects in one pool in 1 3-day period of time. And so that's the advantage. That's the reason to go. But there's so many people that go and they wait for other people to come to them. Nobody's coming to you. Nobody's coming to you. You might be the fraction of 2% of the brands that are just so iconic that people are going to walk up anyway, or maybe you launch some cool new crazy product and maybe people show up for that. Aside from those reasons, nobody's going to seek you out. You have to seek everyone out. And so that's what we did. We spent 3.5 weeks prior reaching out to every prospect that we knew, client, previous client, anyone that we wanted to do business with, wanted to meet with, wanted to get in front of, wanted to do an interview with. We reached out to every single one of them. And I'm not talking one blast email, because that doesn't work, guys. I'm not talking like just, I sent an email and then a quick follow-up. No. Emails, mailed them stuff, LinkedIn messages, DMs on Twitter, phone calls, multiple phone calls, text messages, if I knew them. Very relentless follow-up to make sure that they knew that we were going to be there. Because here's the deal, when you're doing sales, and sales is marketing, people get it confused. It's something different. Just because I'm not buying an advertisement, people think that sales is different. No, it's all marketing. Marketing is sales. Sales is marketing. There's just different tactics within each, right? And so what most people forget, and I got wrong many years ago, is that, dude, just because somebody didn't get back to you, just because you shot them an email, doesn't mean you're top of mind. They got a million things going on. You've got a million things going on. I've got a million things going on, right? And so when you realize that, and you say, okay, well, I got a million things going on. Somebody reaches out to me once. That's not priority for me. I've got other meetings with vendors and clients that I'm going to take there. Why am I going to get back to you? You shot me an email. I'm not. Maybe you shot me an email, a LinkedIn message. I'm still not. I'm very busy. You got to get in front of me to the point where I'm like, I can't ignore this person. Either I'm going to shut them down because they're irritating me. I'm just like, dude, like stop contacting me. Which, by the way, isn't a no. That's a good starting point. But now they know me. Now they're aware of me, even if they didn't agree to a meeting. And so what you saw a lot of in episode 4 of Growing Bold was that we had a lot of meetings scheduled, and then we had a lot that didn't. Probably 50% that we weren't scheduled, but we reached out. So it's just about, honestly, having the balls to walk up and just say, hey, so-and-so, what's going on? I'm Brian Cristiano from Bold Worldwide. And some of them are like, oh, yeah, you're that guy. Message, sorry I didn't get back to you. And then you have a conversation. And others are like, who are you? Which we put one of those in the video, a little behind the scenes. And you have an opportunity there. Most people shut down. I would have shut down 5 years ago. I'm like, oh, well, we're this. I emailed you. Yeah, man, I'm sorry. My schedule is slammed. That's typically the next part of the conversation. You're like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to bug you. And then you walk away and it's over. But you can absolutely flip a conversation from the most negative possible outcome to the most positive outcome, even get business out of it, if you just stay steadfast. Just don't take it personally. You remove the emotion from it. Who are you? Who's Bold? And you're like, oh, dude, this is what we do. We're these guys, blah, blah, blah. Reached out to you and give them a reason, because you got to know the company. You can't just walk up to a random person. I know the company. Gave a personal example. Obviously, we had to cut that out because you might be able to know what company we were talking to, right? So gave them a personal example. Hey, I've used your product before. This is where I use it. Here's a photo of me using it. And they're like, oh, okay. And it starts the conversation, right? So it's about being very relentless. It's about being persistent. It's about just not thinking that people are going to give you their time, energy, or money just because you're there. They're not. You have to push yourself out of your comfort zone. You have to go out and get it. You got to get those meetings, even when they say no, or they blow you off, or they don't take it. Right? A very big brand I've been trying to get in with for a very long time. I can't mention the name, but I've been wanting to get in with them. I've been in contact with them for forever. Never really getting anywhere. Just still persistent, but not really getting anywhere. They were at the event, and I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to show up. They didn't respond to any of my outreach, going up to outdoor retailer. Just show up. Hey. I didn't even know who was going to be there, who was the right marketing people. So I walked up, I'm like, oh, who's here in the marketing part? Oh, sorry, they're slammed. Oh, okay, great. Well, who are they? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't give you that information. All right. Showed up an hour later, went back. Oh, hey, I know the marketing people are a little tied up. I forget his name. Oh, Mark. Got a name. Okay, is Mark around? No, man, he's slammed. Okay, great. Came back a couple hours later. Hey, is Mark around the marketing department? I know he's super slammed. Oh, no, I know. I'm not on his calendar, but anyway, you can sneak me in? Nah, sorry, man. He's booked up. Oh, is there anyone else in the marketing department? Well, there's so-and-so over there. There's Susie. Making up fake names. There's Susie, Mark and Susie. Okay. Well, Susie, great. Oh, where is she? I don't know her. Oh, she's the person over there in the green shirt. Boom. Now I know 2 names, marketing people. I know who Susie is. I see her. So now I come back up later. Oh, hey, Susie. Oh, she's over there meeting. Is it important? Yeah, it's important. I can't yell. Oh, that's okay. Then came back at the end of the day. 9 tries. Came back at the end of the day. Hey, is Susie around? Or Mark? Nah, Mark left. Susie's, in a meeting. And I said, I was like, oh, okay, that's a bummer. I'm hanging around. I see Susie come out of of one of the storage parts of their booth. And I was like, Susie, what's going on? And she's like, who are you? And then we ended up hitting it off, having a half-hour meeting, hanging out, having a beer, talking about business, talking about marketing, talking about their brand, talking about what we're doing at Bold. Persistence always wins. And it's so easy to get caught up in like, all right, hey, how many of you, honestly, reply in the comments, how many of you would have showed up to a booth of a brand, a big brand that you want to do business with, or a big client, big customer that you really want to do business with? How many of you would have walked up and after the first time they said, sorry, they're not available and I'm not going to give you their information, would have walked away? Say yes. I'm pulling up my phone here because it's hard to see the responses, the comments in real time. Tell me you would have walked away. Tell me how many times, actually, type the number. How many times would you walked up to that booth and you would have walked away after they said no? What, the first time, the second time, the fifth time, the seventh time, the ninth time? How many times? How many times would you have gone to that booth until you just kept coming back? When would you have left? The first time? Give me a number. Put a number in the comments. How many times? Twice. You would have shown up twice. Would have left first. And look, I appreciate the honesty. I really do appreciate the honesty, right? Because this is how you, just like me, dude, I would have walked away the first time a couple years ago. Maybe even a few years ago. Not the first time, maybe the third time a few years ago. 5 years, 10 years ago, I would have walked away the first time. Right? As many as it took. Michael is a hustler. He's relentless. I love it. But that's at least 7. Yeah. But you're putting a number on it, though, right? So even if you say, hey, I would have showed up 10 times till I would have finally, given a break. Why 10? I was just going to keep going. I was are you guys hosting a party later? Can I show? Where is it? Oh, where's your after party thing? Oh, you know about that? I don't know. I would have kept going. I would have found a way. And that's it, right? Because it feels so hard to be that level, that persistent, especially when people are just saying no, right? Because it's man, like you don't want to feel like you're bothering anybody. You're bothering somebody if you're wasting their time. You're not bothering somebody if you genuinely can come to them with a solution, a product, a service, or an idea that really actually helps them in a positive way. And we're doing stuff real different. So I'm not bombarding anybody. I'm not bothering anybody. They just don't know me yet. It goes back to what we're talking about with the haters on Facebook comparing me to other awesome people. A, that's awesome. That's great. I love it. But B, you don't know me yet. That's all it is. That's it. Like, so that's the mentality you got to go into all of this. You just don't know me yet. You're hating because you don't know me. You're shutting me out of a meeting because you don't know me. You're telling me that I can't have that meeting because you don't know me. You don't know what I have. So it's my job to not get caught up in that part of it. It's my job to say, I'm just going to keep going until you do know me. Until I can tell you what it is that we do and why we're different and how I'm going to help you. You just can't take no as an answer. And here's the other part of it, though, that I got wrong many years ago, like 10 years ago. So you get frustrated and angry. You're like, oh, come on. You get shut down and you still get in their face. Come on, man, let's just get 5 minutes. Or I've reached out to you 20 times. You get frustrated. Don't get frustrated. Kill them with kindness. Kill them with a smile. When you just keep walking up with positivity, when you keep showing, oh, man, I just want to help you. I'm just trying to show you this. Got a real good idea for you. Hey, I thought of you about X, Y, Z, or I saw what you were doing, and it's really awesome. I just want to chat with you about it for 5 minutes. You can't really get mad at somebody for that. Just don't waste their time. Be super positive and just be so persistent. You make it happen. You break through walls. I think that's one of the biggest sales tips I can give. I'm going to throw a marketing one in here, and then I'm going to open it up for a Q&A. I'm going to open it up for a Q&A. You guys want a Q&A in here? By the way, one thing, because I've obviously starting small, right? Small audience. I appreciate every one of you who's in here. This is so cool to me. If you have a business or a brand or something like that, and you feel like, hey, maybe there's some other people watching this feed now that Brian's starting to, build an audience and people are watching and paying attention. If there's something that you do, put your name, put the company that you work for and what you do, and then just like use my feed, right? Like little networking. This is some virtual networking. Like put your name, the company you work for, what you do there. And maybe there's some of you that are, oh man, hey, I need somebody in real estate, and you're like, oh dude, I kill it in real estate and I happen to be in your city and you didn't know it. So use my feed for that while I'm talking about some marketing tips real quick, because there are some marketing tips for you right there. Is figure out ways to take advantage of the places that you're at, the people that you're in front of. I'm going to steal this from Grant Cardone, who's an awesome dude, by the way. One of the other main reasons why I'm actually doing all this content. Give me a second here. Talking a lot. I guess that's what this is about, though. I'm going to steal this from Grant Cardone, though. It's the biggest problem is obscurity. Nobody knows who you are, or very few do. Nobody knows who I am, very few do. That's the biggest issue. And it doesn't matter how big of a company you are, or if you're person of one, right? If nobody knows who you are, nobody can do business with you. You could have the best product in the world. You could have the best ad agency in the world, but if no one knows it exists, you're not getting customers. That's it. So use my feed to connect with each other because it's an opportunity. Obviously, you all have something in common, either entrepreneurs or business people, marketers, right? Maybe you can help each other out. And that's what's cool too, because look, of course I'm doing this to get exposure and to get myself out of obscurity and to grow my company and to tell my story and hopefully people learn from it that way. But you know what's so much cooler than all of that is the hundreds, it's insane to me, the hundreds of messages that I get on a daily basis now, DMs, people like, hey, I watched this, it really helped me, what would you do about X? And it's hard. I'm trying to get back to as many people as I can. I think I'm doing an okay job. But that's so cool. Like, even if you never do business with me, but I give you something that changes your business and helps you grow, dude, that's so cool. And guess what? You do that for somebody else, even if you don't do business with them, but you help somebody else out, guess what's going to happen? Year, 5 years, 20 years from now, that person's like, hey, they come across somebody else that needs what you do, and they're going to refer you, even though you never did business with them. So it's just about networking. It's about staying positive. It's about just being persistent. It's about not being afraid to actually just talk about yourself a little bit. Because that's something I get a little bit, right? People can take this as a little egotistical, narcissistic. It's all bullshit. That's an excuse for other people who don't want to do this. And they say, oh, well, I'm not going to do that because I don't have an ego. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to feel like, I don't want other people to think I'm narcissistic. It's just an excuse. It's just an excuse to not do it, right? Brands that say, well, we don't want to take a side because we don't want to, hurt our customers. We don't want to turn anybody off. Well, guess what? When you're playing in that middle space, that's the gray area. That's where you lose. That's where you die. You got to go one side or the other. You got to have a line in the sand. You got to live and say, hey, look, this is our beliefs. This is what we believe in. This is what we do. This is how we help. And if you don't agree with it, that's cool. We're going to respect you, and maybe we can convince you otherwise because you don't know me yet as a brand. Or, hey, you know what? That's cool. It doesn't matter. All good, man. You're not our customer. I had somebody put a comment in one of, I think episode 4, said, you really curse a lot. That's unprofessional. Clients aren't going to do business with that. And I said, look, man, I apologize if I offended anybody. That's not my intent. I'm really showing you the rawness. Behind the scenes, I get amped up and excited. I drop F-bombs. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. And you know what? If my clients really care about a couple of F-bombs here and there, dude, we're not the right fit anyway. I'm not like cursing at anyone. It's just a word, man. It doesn't mean anything until you put meaning behind it. So if it means something real negative to you, then we're probably not going to be a match anyway. My name of my agency is Bold, So anyway, I think that the marketing tip today is just find ways to get yourself in the conversation and do something where you find other people that need what you do and give them information, help them out, right? Teach them something. And you can do that by putting out content. And man, you can do it on here. You don't need a whole setup. You don't need an FS7 to do this, right? You can do it on anything that you have, but make sure that you're not just blabbing about something. This is my mistake years ago because I've done a lot of content before this, just not as consistent, not at this scale. My problem with my old content was there was some value in there, sure, but I really wasn't clear on who I was talking to and why somebody would want to watch. I was giving some information and some facts, but I wasn't giving information that was actionable. I wasn't taking anybody on the emotion ride. I wasn't letting anybody inside. That's what you got to do. You got to let people inside. You got to give them something interesting or informative or helpful that they can learn from or find intriguing or interesting. And then if they don't like what you're talking about, have a conversation. Ask them why. Why don't you think that? You never know. They might turn in your biggest fans. So I'm going to open this up for a Q&A. What is it that I can help you with? What do you want to know? Let's get as specific as possible so that I can help you. Give me if we're going to do the Q&A, give me a little context. Doesn't need a ton of context, but here's the industry I'm in. Here's the problem I have. What would you do about this? Or what do you think about XYZ? Igor is in the house. Thank you. And I would love it too if this is helpful for you. Maybe share the stream out, right? I'm trying to grow the audience as well. I'll just ask a little bit of that. If you don't like it, don't share the stream. If you like it, you think it's valuable for other people, share the stream. That would be helpful to me. Okay. What motivating factors? Jack Woodring. Thanks, my man, for the comment. Thanks for watching. What motivating factors influenced you to go to this next step? What was holding you back? Oh man, I love it. That's a good question. That's a real question. That's a good question. So there's a video on Grant Cardone's YouTube page somewhere and his Facebook somewhere where I sat down with him. I got a 30, 40 minutes hang out, sit down with Grant Cardone, and he coached me a bit. And there's about 12 or 13 minutes of it online. And there was a couple of things. That was a big one. There was a couple of influences in my life, right? So look, I run an agency. I employ dozens of people. We're small on the scale of business. We're small on the scale of marketing, but we have a legit operation, right? Millions of dollars, but we're not like massive. They're still tiny in the scale of agencies or business. But I would say that, hey man, if I look back 15 years and thought I'd be here, I'd be like, man, that's awesome. Like I'm super pumped that I would make it this far, right? And so I always felt very good. I always want to grow. Always want to push myself, my employees, my clients. But what really, really did it for me is I had the opportunity to actually spend a little bit of time with Jordan Zimmerman. And for anybody who doesn't know who he is, he owns an advertising agency called Zimmerman Advertising. They are a top 10 largest agency in the world. They do about almost $5 billion with a B dollars in revenue annually. Clients as big as Nissan, Papa John's, etc. And so, super big company. I ended up connecting with him at some point, and he had said something to me that really resonated. He started his agency with nothing as well. He said to me, listen, Brian, I'm just some dude from Jersey who had a big dream. And he said to me, listen, you're ever down here in the area of the agency, I'd love for you to come by and I get somebody to set up a tour for you so that you can see what's possible from nothing. And I was like, that's really cool. So I took him up on that offer, and he's such an amazing, intelligent, smart dude that gives his time to people. I was actually amazed he gave me so much time. He personally gave me the tour for hours. It was incredible. I got to pick his brain. We walked through everything. And that, for me, really just was like, wow, there's not some secret special sauce. Even me at this point, before this, so you feel like, oh man, well, if I just know this, or if I just meet this person, or if I just knew this one thing that they knew, then my business would be huge. There's none of that. It's all basics. It's the small stuff. It's just hard work. It's focus. It's knowing what you want to do. It's about not knowing what you're capable of, but willing to take the risk to find out what you're made of. And so meeting with him, and then right shortly after, I happened to meet with Grant Cardone and sat down, and he was like, look, man, you got big dreams. You got to big dream bigger. You want to get to the point of where you have all these things, you're doing incredible stuff. Not enough people know about you. You got to get to 100 million, because if you want to really be an industry changer, you want to be a game changer, you want to really change the business, you want to employ enough people to where you can go home and be like, wow, there's a lot of great people that work here. He's like, you have to grow your business or you die. And that was a big motivating factor for me. So, thanks, Jack, for that question. Alexander Robinson, Brian, does your agency do any SEO, Google, organic work, or do you guys only do Facebook ads? We do all of it. It just depends on the client, right? So I hate the word full service because it's so overblown. It's just we just start with, what's the result? What does the client need? Is it sales, ticket sales, e-com, butts and seats, merch, leads? What's the deal? What's the end goal? Where are you now? Where do you need to get to? Is it realistic? Do we need to fix something with the business before we can move forward with the marketing? And then once we say, great, we can get there, how do we get there? And so if it's PPC, if it's Google, if it's TV ads, which it's almost never, but sometimes, we still do some of that, right? Steering clients away from that, but there's still some of that. But what are the things that are going to get us to that goal? That's it. So yeah, we do all that stuff when the client needs it. Hussein, what's up, my man? It takes commitment to start, but it takes consistency to finish. Denzel Washington, so appropriate for marketing. 100%, man. Great quote. Howard, how do you make this work in federal government sales? That's a bit tougher, honestly, because it's all, my understanding, I don't do any work with the federal government currently, but my understanding of it is it's just It's a bidding process. It's complicated. A lot of RFPs. It's not so much like hardcore sales. Though I don't know how big you are, but obviously there's lobbyists and stuff like that, so you can sway the boat if you're big enough. It's a very political environment. So I don't necessarily know that, that it'll necessarily help, but I also don't think that it wouldn't help, right? Because let's say you're bidding on a job and the people, the department, or the part of the government that is going to make the decision, get in front of them. Right? Because if they don't know who you are, but your name keeps popping up in their feed, your name keeps popping up in their mailbox, your name keeps popping up in their email in a positive way that's not frictional, you're adding value back to them, and they know your name. Well, guess what? When they're going through hundreds of bids, your name is sticking in the back of their head. You might be more likely to end up in that final pile. So it's more political than the other stuff, but awareness never hurts. All right. Igor, what is the difference between master and expert? I don't know, man. I got to get out my I got to get out my dictionary for that one. The difference between a master and an expert. I think somebody, if I'm not a big fan of like twisting words and adding additional, diction or definitions. I just don't care. That's just me. I don't really, personally, I don't see any difference between those two words. But if I'm going to have to categorize them, I would say an expert is somebody that is very good. They know their stuff. A master is like the best in show, like best in the biz. Like they've done it all. They've experienced it all. They've seen more than all the experts combined. Keep the questions flowing. Anything on marketing, anything on business. Personal, I don't care. Ask me anything that you want. This is total AMA. Q&A, so anything else you guys got? Just reading Hussein's comment here while Hussein, just want to say, Brian, I am hustling or trying to on the advice you gave me last time, get referrals from people. I worked in the past. This is for my project management related service, coaches and education. Yeah, referrals is big, man. Referrals is big. Actually, there's a good tip. Get referrals. You have a current customer base or people, ask for referrals. Most people don't. They're afraid to, or they think it's frictional or it's a negative to ask for a referral. Ask for a referral. Who do you know? Who do you know that might need what I do? Or, hey, are you happy with what we're doing for you? Oh, yeah, it's great. Awesome. Who do you know that we can also help? Get a name, get a number, get an email address. It's a great way, especially B2B, to build your business, build your pipeline. Keep the questions coming. Alex Martucci, what's up, my man? This dude right here, Alex Martucci, he is from Italy. He's a cool dude. Also runs a marketing agency out there. Works on some real cool endurance sports stuff. How can you manage the growth of HR? The balance between people and the client. Honestly, that's a challenge. It's a real, genuine challenge. It's a great question, right? Because as we grow, we add more bodies, we add more people, we add more services. It's a delicate balance between, okay, well, the only way you grow is sales. So I need to obviously go heavy on that side of the business. Our marketing, our sales, our business development needs to be heavy, but simultaneously there's two things with that. One is you don't want to be going out and getting a bunch of new clients and lose your old clients. I just recently heard somebody said to someone else who's been in the business for a long, long time. They said to him, he's a big player. He had a huge agency, and multiple hundreds of millions. Somebody said to him, they said, hey, how rich would you be if you never lost a client? And he was like floored at that question. He's like, wow, think about that, right? Because he'd been doing it for 25 years, hundreds of millions of dollars, be billions for him. And so there's a real importance to make sure as you're growing that you continue to service your clients. But here's the beautiful part, and the way that I'm balancing it is we're making sure that we're putting better services, more people in the right places to service our clients better. Because I don't want to just grow the agency from that side. I want to grow the agency new business and retention simultaneously. So that's where I'm investing most of my time. The HR part, meaning like the people that work here, it's a little bit more difficult, completely honest, right? Because we're growing fast, there are a lot of new people. We're not big enough to necessarily have like an HR department or somebody that's specifically working on recruitment, so it's a little scattered. I think we're hiring amazing, super talented people, so they just get up to speed really quick. They know what they're doing. They're super professional, so it's just about making sure that continue to clarify the vision so that the decisions they're making align with the ultimate vision and the benefit of the clients and the benefit of the agency. But it's challenging because there's not necessarily always somebody for everyone to turn to every minute of the day because we're a little bit more of a flat organization currently. But it's a challenge that we're aware of, and I think that's that's something as you grow, right? That's a big challenge. So no way around it. You got to get to the other side first. Igor, who am I to you? Igor, you're the man, dude. Igor was at 10X. That's where we met. John Howard, what would you do as an athletic apparel brand in a crowded market in an evolving retail landscape? E-commerce, number one. Dude, if you're not on e-com, like killing it on e-com, you have to start you have to start building your direct-to-consumer pipeline. And everybody's afraid to do it because they go, well, if I do that, then my retailers are going to get pissed off. Yeah, they are. But how much more pissed off are you going to be when your retailers aren't around in 5 years? I had clients and friends who had a lot of stock, many millions of dollars in stock at Sports Authority when they went bankrupt. None of them got a heads up. They all knew that the Sports Authority was having a challenge, but they didn't know how bad it was. Sports Authority never gave them the heads up. They got liquidated, and they got pennies on the dollar for all that inventory. They lost mega bucks. This is the tip of the iceberg. The Sports Story is not the last one, man. It's just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to continue. So you need to be in Amazon. You need to have direct to consumer. You still got to be in retail. I'm not saying not to be in retail, but you can't overinvest in retail, in brick and mortar, because it's not going to last. Not the way that it currently is. So that's my number one. Number two, make sure your product actually stands out. Like something different. Like it's a saturated market. You're right. It's an absolute saturated market for athletics and apparel. Have something that's different. And then tell the story about why it's different. All right, Andrea, I'm not sure which, but sorry if I got it wrong, so I went with both. How an organization perspective have your employees adapted to the growth? I'll be honest, a couple have left. They got uncomfortable, right? Because some people they get used to something. Maybe they've been here for a long time when we were just a handful of people, and it was easy where you could get a lot of my time all the time, years and years ago. And they still wanted that vibe. And so it wasn't the right fit anymore. And it's sad. I'm still very good friends with the people that have left, and they might come back at some point. And some have. Actually, I've had somebody go off and start their own, their own company, come back, does some freelance for us, help him out with his growing business. And so it's just, sometimes it's not the right fit. But I would say overall, 80, 90% love it. I mean, they're excited because they're seeing stuff happen. It's one thing to talk about and say, hey, like, we're going to go do this stuff, rah, 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 and then nothing changes. Then people start to get skeptical, right? And I think people do from time to time because we do talk a big game. I talk a big game, but then they start to see stuff changing, happening. We're opening a Miami office. We're traveling. We're getting all these, we're doing all these new pitches. So they start to see it, and so it gets exciting. So like the morale goes up when change starts to happen in the right direction. That is in line with the vision that you've been telling everybody. Michael Perez, happy clients are the best marketing tools. Oh, yeah, dude, for sure. Jack, difference is ability to grow further. Masters want to grow, and experts want to know everything. Andrea, I work in a nonprofit, stuck in the past, having a hard time growing. There's a lot of companies stuck in the past. It's almost scary to me how far back in the past a lot of companies are. I think your job is going to be trying to delicately show and explain that they need to do things differently in order to not just survive, but to thrive. Because here's the thing everybody forgets, man. The market since 2009, I think, 2009, has been just up. The market has just done this, screaming high. But guess what? All the companies that are sitting there still playing the game from 10 years ago, their profits, their margins, their growth has not done this along with the market. What they've done, they stay flat. It's not going to continue to go up forever. I'm hopeful it continues to go up for a long time, but it might not. It could crash tomorrow. It could crash 17 years from now. Who knows? But at some point, the cycle will start over. The market will come back down. The growth will peter off for a bit. Hopefully, it's not a massive thing like 2008. But guess what happens to those companies that are just floating along right now when the market goes down? If you're floating around, the market's up, you got a big problem. So it's your job to really help to paint that picture. The challenge is going to be to do it in a positive way where you're not telling them wrong. You're just trying to educate them in a way to where they can do a better job. They can service more people as a charity. Mike, what's up, Mike? Thanks for popping in here. Digital marketing agency for restaurants, and the people in the industry are very flaky and difficult to get in front of. Any suggestions? Okay, so got it. Restaurants. So smaller businesses, restaurant. Got it. Flaky people. Yeah. Bombard your way in, right? Beautiful part about a restaurant, you know their hours. You know when they're going to be there. Probably, I would guess, unless they're big chains, if they're local restaurants, I would assume the owner's probably there most of the time, right? But get in there. Go in for lunch. Like call, hey, got this thing. Maybe they get a little interested. Hey, I'm gonna be coming in. Are you there? And whether they respond or not, just like when I'm at OR, just show up, go get lunch. Hey, is the owner here? What's going on? Chat with them, talk, get them while they're there, right? They're busy people, they're small businesses, they're running around. So they just forget about you. It's nothing necessarily even against your services or what you're doing. It's just like they're busy people, man. So you got to lock them down. So go in for lunch, lock them down in person. Okay. Came back from South Africa. Taught karate to 2,000 children in poverty. How do I get the message to people about my mission? Do what I'm doing, man. You don't have to do it super produced. You got to tell it. Use your phone. Tell me the story. Show me the people you're teaching. Give me testimonials, daily content, weekly content, and tell me your mission. Always be clear on your mission. You got to tell the mission, right? That's it. Simple. Okay, Brian, we talked last night. Instagram, do full SEO. Who do I speak to your team? Email Ilana, ILANA, at boldworldwide.com, Alexander. Email Ilana. All right, Michael, what is the one biggest obstacle when starting Bold? Well, when I started Bold, I just bought a partner out in my production company. This is back in like 2009, 2010 was a transition period for me. So we had very different views of where the company was going to go, the production company. 24DP it was called. We had very different views on where it was going to go. We realized we reached an impasse. We had to split it up. I had to buy her out, and so that was a challenge for me because at that point in time I was not, I wasn't doing necessarily well enough for that to be like an easy transaction. So it took some time. It was a little difficult. It wasn't fun. So the challenge, though, was dealing with that simultaneously while starting a new company, while transitioning over assets and people and all of that to the new company, separate, like totally different businesses. But I brought over the production arm from the production company. But I'm dealing with that business. I'm trying to wrap that up, buy that person out. On the one hand, while I'm trying to start Bold, on the other, most of our business came from big ad agencies. Right, we did a lot of commercial work, a lot of video for big, humongous agencies, and it was a little challenging at first because they're like, well, now you're going direct client. We're not going to give you any business. So it was a little challenging from that aspect, I would say, of just like staying steady and knowing like, nah, I know this is the right thing to do. I'm going to keep moving forward with it. John Howard, growing nicely e-com, but still a crowded space. Yeah. Facebook ads on e-com. I don't know what your product is, John, specifically, but Facebook ads for e-com in apparel kills it if it's done right and it's a good product. Jack, when you started business yourself, who was your next direct hire and why? Ooh, that's a good question. That's a great question. So when I first started my production company, and I made massive mistakes, man. I got school of the hard knocks to the face when I started my production company in the early 2000s. I didn't know what I was doing. So my first hire there was another creative person. So I was very creative. I was shooting, editing, filming, producing, and I was like, oh, I can't do this all myself. So I hired another creator, designer, editor, buddy of mine from college, still a super good friend of mine. Shout out to Eddie if he sees this, dude. He's the man. He's killing it now in special effects out in Hollywood. Anyway, he's the man out there. Kills it. So anyway, I started that route. I started hiring creative people first, which in hindsight was a mistake. Well, after I started Bold and I cut back and transitioned from to Bold and started Bold, my first hire was actually an accounts person, somebody to be able to make sure manage the clients. And then some more creatives, and then some more accounts people, and then strategy and digital people, and so on, so on, so on. I think that was definitely the smarter move. Igor. It's Igor. Damn it. It's Igor. All right. Last few questions. I got to wrap it up. I got about 6 minutes. So anything else you guys want to knock in here, I'm going to do super, super fast Q&A. Got 6 minutes left here. Michael, does marketing differ when it's service compared to product? Yes and no. The consumers might be slightly different, but at the end of the day, it's still storytelling, right? The cycles in a sale for typically like an ad agency sales cycle, man, could be anywhere from like weeks to years, okay? Probably averaging out in a handful of months for a sales cycle. Whereas somebody buying a consumer product, direct to consumer, might make the purchasing decision like on the spot because they're like, oh, I need that shirt. So the cycle's longer. So you got to tell the story longer. You have to have a more powerful story. You got to be smarter in where you place it and who you're talking to. But aside from that, it's all just still story. You're just telling the story of why your product's better, why your service is better or different, right? And emotional, right? Mike and Mike, dude, you guys are connecting. I love it to see some business happen in this channel. 5 minutes left. Any quick hitter quick fire Q&As. Let's see, man, make an appointment with you, Igor. Sure, buddy. You can come in. Come into Bold. Any digital marketing agency who wants to start increase your... Okay, cool. Affiliates. Is social media marketing the next big thing? C-Dale. Okay. It's not even the next big thing. It's the thing. It's it. That is it. Like, Facebook ads, Instagram advertising, dude, is killing it. Digital, like banner ads, suck. Stay away. Like, when people throw digital and social into the same conversation, they're making a big mistake. Like, programmatic buying, pre-roll buying, banner, digital display, absolute garbage. There's still a lot of value in PPC if it's done right, but it's expensive depending on the industry. Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising, influencer advertising, cross promotion with other non-competitive brands, activations on the right sponsorships. That stuff all works. But social, dude, it's not the next big thing, dude. It's been the thing. The next big thing is probably going to happen somewhere else. Okay, last couple. Hussein, how does your team make sure that its internal and external projects have the right team on them and projects are executed brilliantly? Really, really clear standards up front before we even sign the deal. What do you guys need as a client? What are your most important? Qualifying, like even qualifying after they're qualified, meaning like do they need our service? Can they afford us? Like that side of qualifying. After that, it's qualifying. What do you need? Do you know what you need? Do we need to clarify what you need? How are we going to measure it? How are we on the same page? Like getting all that stuff up front, super, super clear, and then having a really good accounts team, and then of course the right, strategy, digital, creative, executional team, et cetera, in place is big. But being clear on the expectations, being clear on the outcomes, being clear on what the client wants is the number one key to success there. Okay, how would you promote, Jesse? How would you promote a company like Primerica when you're an independent agency? Where is there negative people who are ignorant about the company actually does? Fill me in on what it does, man. I'm ignorant on it. I don't know it. I think I know, but I'm not sure. I feel like I'm confusing it maybe with some political thing. So I don't know what it does either. Give me a quick little context. I'll answer that, and then I'm going to answer one or two more. And I gotta jump off. I got a call after this. That's the real entrepreneur life, dude. By the way, side note, dude. Entrepreneur life is not sexy. Yeah, like, sure, we make it look polished, and I love it, and the travel's cool. Those are really long days, and then when I'm here, dude, I'm on the phone, I'm on email, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm doing interviews, I'm calling people coming in my, here, I'm putting out fires, IT stuff, like, oh my God, right, we're scaling, oh my God, we need 60 more terabytes for our servers, ha, like, all that stupid stuff, so I'm jumping off onto a phone call. It's not sexy, most of the time. Jack, conversion measurement versus engagement measurement. Why is it happening, and what are you doing with it? It's both. It depends on them. It depends, Jack, on what you're trying to accomplish, right? Like I'm not measuring what we're doing with paid media for growing Bold and our content. I'm not measuring that by conversions. I'm not direct selling anything, so I can't measure it in conversions. It's a very long tail play, but so I got to measure it in engagements, right? So I'm looking at like episode 3, for example. Did the best as far as engagement. Like the organic reach was massive, like 10 times my actual audience size or more, which was unbelievable. 3,000 plus shares. So I'm looking at that and going, wow, like, okay, people really are digging this. So from like a media marketing perspective, we're going to keep it up while the iron's hot, right? So that's what you do on that side, whether it's content. If you're doing sales like e-commerce, yeah, you got to be looking at conversions. But you can't just hard sell people all the time. So it's a balance, right? Like that's the long-term balance is how can I build the brand over the long haul, tell a story that's emotional, that people are going to remember 5 or 10 years from now. How did I do that while also selling to people who need my product and service today? If you're, B2C, if your sales cycle is short, that's it. And so it's both. It's really both. And then C-Dale, thanks, my man. And Michael Barrett, thank you. Guys, I got to wrap this up, but listen, I really, really, really genuinely appreciate you sticking around, watching my feed, asking me questions. Keep them coming. I really genuinely appreciate it. This is so cool. I actually can't imagine. I didn't expect in 3 weeks to really have this level of engagement and you guys asking questions. I hope it's valuable. And be honest, if there's something that you just don't feel like I answered right or well, or you disagree, or you feel like I didn't quite clarify something, drop it in the comments or DM me. DMs, I will get back to you, but it'll take me a little bit longer, man. I'm getting a little buried right now. But if you loved it, I appreciate it. If you didn't, let me know why. And I'd love to continue to get feedback from you on what you think of Growing Bold and the other content because I want to just make sure, like, yeah, we're telling our story and growing, but I want to make sure that even if I never do business with you specifically, I want to make sure that it changes your stuff, because that's freaking cool, man. That's what this is all about. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, and we're going to do this every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Thursdays, 1 p.m. Eastern. I should have said that up front. Every Thursday. So we're going to lock it in. We're going to start doing this. So make sure to tune back in next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Thank you. And, dude, go crush it. Go be bold.